Sometimes life gives ordinary people a moment that defines them forever. Sometimes kindness appears from the very last place you'd expect. And sometimes, the person you save responds in a way that leaves everyone stunned. This is the story of how a quiet, exhausted janitor, a single dad just trying to keep life together, pulled a powerful CEO out of a burning car, only to hear words he never expected. But those words changed everything. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. Your support helps us grow and share more inspiring stories here on your channel name. It was a cold November evening in a small Midwestern town, the kind where the wind cuts straight to the bone. Marcus Hill, a 38-year-old janitor at Westbrook Corporate Plaza, was finishing the night shift. His shoulders hurt from hours of mopping long hallways, and his eyes burned from lack of sleep. He had been working double shifts for weeks. Being a single dad wasn't easy, not when his 8-year-old son Noah needed new winter boots and the rent had gone up again. Marcus didn't complain, life hadn't gone easy on him, but he had learned to meet every struggle with quiet strength. He clocked out around 1 a.m. The parking lot was almost empty, with only a few cars scattered under the flickering streetlights. Marcus pulled up his hood, breathed into his hands to warm them, and started walking toward his old Chevy. He was thinking about the lunchbox Noah had decorated for him, the one with stickers of rockets and dinosaurs. For Daddy's big job, Noah had said proudly. Marcus smiled, even though nothing about scrubbing office floors at midnight felt big or important. Then he heard it, a screech, a crash, and the unmistakable sound of metal twisting. He froze. At the far end of the street, a black SUV had slammed into a light pole. Flames burst from under the hood. The fire spread fast, licking up the windshield. Marcus didn't think. He didn't calculate the risk. He ran. The SUV's front end was crushed, and the driver's door was jammed. Marcus grabbed the handle and pulled, but it didn't budge. Smoke poured out of the vents, thick and suffocating. He could barely see the driver inside, a woman slumped over the wheel, unconscious. He yanked the door again, harder this time. Nothing. He should have waited for firefighters. He should have stepped back. But sometimes the heart moves before the mind can give permission. Marcus wiped his sleeve across his face, braced his shoulder against the door, and slammed into it with everything he had. It finally popped open. Heat blasted into his face. The woman inside coughed weakly, her eyes fluttering. Marcus reached around her, unbuckled her seatbelt, and pulled her out just as flames crawled toward the steering wheel. He carried her several feet away and laid her on the ground. She was trembling, gasping for air. He knelt beside her. "You're okay," he said, trying to sound calm even as adrenaline surged through him. "You're safe now. Just breathe." The woman blinked up at him, her expression dazed. She had ash on her cheeks, her blazer ripped at the sleeve. It took a moment, but then her gaze sharpened and confusion twisted into shock. "You," she whispered. Then louder, raspier, "You're the janitor." Marcus blinked. Of all the things she could have said, "Thank you, what happened, who are you?" this was not it. Before he could answer, sirens wailed in the distance. Fire trucks were approaching fast. The woman sat up slowly, still staring at him. Why would you do that?" she asked, her voice cracking. "You could have died." Marcus shrugged softly. "Ma'am, you were trapped. Anyone would have tried to help." But she shook her head, almost angry. "No. Not anyone." The firefighters arrived and rushed toward the flaming SUV. Paramedics lifted the woman onto a stretcher. She kept looking back at Marcus, as if trying to understand something impossible. Marcus stepped away from the chaos. His hands were trembling now that adrenaline was fading. He didn't wait for praise or recognition. He didn't expect any. He just wanted to go home to his son. He turned to walk to his car when he felt a hand catch his sleeve. It was her. "I'm Claire," she said. "Claire Morrison." Marcus nodded politely. "Glad you're okay, ma'am." She swallowed hard. "I'm not okay. Not really. You saved my life." Marcus looked down, embarrassed. I just did what anybody should. Claire studied him. Tomorrow morning, she said, come to my office. He frowned. Ma'am, I'm just. But she cut him off. Come. Then she was taken into the ambulance, leaving Marcus standing alone in the cold night. The next day, Marcus showed up at work as usual. He cleaned the break room, vacuumed the conference floor, emptied bins. He tried to stay invisible, that was the unwritten rule for janitors. Employees barely glanced at him except to hand him their trash. But around 10 a.m., someone tapped his shoulder. Mr. Hill? Ms. Morrison wants to see you. Marcus froze. Claire Morrison. He knew the name. Everyone did. She wasn't just any CEO, she was the CEO of the entire Westbrook Corporate Plaza, the owner of the building where he cleaned toilets at night. Walking into her office felt like stepping into another universe. The carpet was soft, the windows stretched floor to ceiling, and the city skyline glittered like something expensive. Claire stood near her desk. She looked much better, cleaned up, hair tied neatly, but there was something different in her eyes. Something softer. Marcus, she said, and this time her voice held no confusion, no shock. Just gratitude. Please sit. Marcus stayed standing. I don't want any trouble, ma'am. Trouble? She let out a breathy laugh. You saved my life. I owe you everything. He shook his head. You don't owe me anything. But she stepped closer. Last night, when I said, you're the janitor. I wasn't dismissing you. I wasn't looking down on you. Her voice tightened. I was ashamed. He frowned. Ashamed? Claire nodded slowly. Because I spend my days in meetings about company culture. About kindness. About treating our staff like humans. But when it comes to people like you, I never even learned your names. Her eyes glistened. And yet you risked your life for me, without hesitation. Marcus didn't know what to say. No one had ever spoken to him like that, not a boss, not a manager, and certainly not a CEO. Claire took a deep breath. I want to offer you something. A thank you worthy of what you did. Marcus held up his hand. Please, ma'am. I didn't do it for a reward. I know, she said gently. That's why you deserve one. She walked behind her desk and slid a folder toward him. Marcus opened it and nearly dropped it. It was a letter of promotion. Not to a supervisor. Not to a night leader. To facilities director. The position paid triple what he currently made. Marcus felt the room sway. Ma'am. I didn't even finish college. Claire smiled softly. I know your record. You're smart. You're responsible. You're the kind of person who runs toward danger instead of away from it. I need someone like that running this building. Marcus swallowed hard. My son, this would change everything for him. Claire walked around the desk and placed a hand on his shoulder. Marcus, your son already has everything he needs. He has you. I'm just giving you the life you should have had all along. Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. He hadn't cried in years, but in that moment, he couldn't stop them from falling. Claire stayed quiet, letting him breathe. Finally he whispered, Thank you. She shook her head. No, Marcus. Thank you. For reminding me what real leadership looks like. Word spread quickly through the building. People who had never looked at Marcus twice now smiled at him in the hall. Some clapped his back. Others apologized for ignoring him for so long. But Marcus didn't let the attention change him. He still greeted every janitor by name. He still visited the night shift, helping sweep rooms even when no one expected him to. He still went home after work to read bedtime stories to Noah, who now bragged at school that his dad was in charge of the whole building. One evening, a few weeks after the accident, Claire visited Marcus in the facilities office. She knocked lightly and stepped inside. Everything okay? Marcus asked.